Potential shocking news tomorrow that could rock the silver price, rock the gold price. We're going to cover it, and we're going to cover the reasons why this is so critical for us to pay attention to the biggest news story that we're going to get in a long time, and we're going to get it tomorrow. But first, let's say thank you to you for being here. You are the most important part of the basement. Thanks for participating. Thanks for being part of the group. You can call yourself a basement dweller. You can call yourself whatever you want. But when you're down here in the basement with me, you're part of our community. So thank you. Please subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up, and super chat, super thanks. All right, super appreciated. Before we talk about the reasons why we could have a little turbulence tomorrow in the silver and gold world, let's talk about where we are coming from. Because, guys, I was just shocked when I looked at this chart this morning, a 1-year chart of the silver price. I want to draw your attention far over to the left. And on the 3rd of October, 2023, exactly 1 year ago, we had a silver price of $20.95. Today, right, in the futures market, we're approaching $32 per ounce. We're going to go get an update here in a few minutes, but guys, the silver price, let's get the crayons out quickly. The silver price has just literally exploded over the last year. Look at this. I mean, do you see this trend? It's unbelievable, and we have a lot to be grateful for, but tomorrow could prove challenging. What's going on tomorrow? Tomorrow we'll get the non-farm payrolls, the jobs number, okay? Be prepared for a beatdown. It might be hard to believe, and I'm going to give you the reasons why. If there was ever an employment report where they were going to fudge the numbers more than they already fudged the numbers, that would be tomorrow. It's about exactly 1 month before the election. So, look, I'm just saying, I'm not accusing anybody of anything, and not like the Bureau of Labor and Statistics has ever gotten these job numbers wrong or anything. But if there was ever an employment report where there might be some incentive to make things look a little bit better than they actually are, I can just see it tomorrow. Oh, the jobs surprise. The jobs numbers are great. The economy's strong. Bidenomics is working, right? Right 1 month before the election. And that has the potential, not as strong as it used to be, because gold and silver are much smarter, the smartest, oldest investments in the world. And people are losing faith in a lot of this government data, but nonetheless, that potential is there tomorrow. Why? Right? What's the reason? They want the economy to look good. What's an example of why we know these numbers are often wrong in the past? Well, we know that every single month when they put out the employment data, they revise the previous 2 months, and like 95% of the time over the last couple of years, they revise the numbers down. Oh, we made a mistake. Here's the great number this month, and this is what we can see tomorrow. Here's a great number. Oh, and by the way, we're revising down the previous 2 months. It's like they take their make-believe jobs from the previous 2 months and roll them into the current month. We also know that they were wrong by 818,000 jobs from March of 2023 through March of 2024, and that's not even the final revision yet. Some people are saying they could have been wrong by as many as 1 million jobs. So we have to ask, 1 million people, right? Nearly 1 million people. I wonder how they enjoyed cashing their imaginary paychecks over the last year. So be prepared for tomorrow. Right? I hope I'm wrong, right? If I gave you, let me ask you this question. If I gave you $100,000 right now, I think you'd really like me. But if I gave you $100,000, but you were forced to bet it on the gold price tomorrow, is the gold price going to go up tomorrow? Gold and silver. Are the gold and silver prices going to go down tomorrow? Right now, I'm a little bit, if I had to do that, I would probably put my money on down, just because I know the shenanigans that they're likely to be playing tomorrow. Now, the important thing to remember here is this is all temporary noise, okay? Smoke and mirrors, made up data. Unicorn fart dust, bubblegum and duct tape, the whole economy. We know the big picture, and the big picture, right, is that we are in a situation where we will have inflation coming at us over the next year, devaluation of the US dollar, and gold and silver will be just fine. I just want you to be prepared for tomorrow, because I got a feeling there's going to be shocking news, shocking good news. We'll see, right? Hey, I'm often wrong, but that's what I see coming tomorrow. Okay. Let's switch over to Charles Nenner. Do you know Charles Nenner? I've followed Charles Nenner for probably close to 7 or 8 years now. He's a super smart ex-Goldman Sachs. He left Goldman Sachs guy. He's a Dutchman. He lives in Israel now, but nonetheless, he makes these unbelievable predictions. He's like the guy with the crystal ball. Unbelievable predictions, and he has a great accuracy track record when it comes to predicting cycles and movements in certain commodities, and he always pays attention to gold. And when we say gold, we mean silver as well. Charles Nenner, and he's not a guy who's constantly bullish, constantly saying, buy gold, buy gold. I've heard him many times say, I think gold's going to go down, gold's going to go down. Well, he said something shocking about gold. Let's run out and see what Charles had to say. This comes from Zero Hedge. He says, right now, get out of stocks and buy gold. Get out of stocks and buy gold. Charles Nenner warns of an imminent end of American empire. He also is telling us that he thinks the reign of the American empire is coming to an end. You can read this article. There's actually a video out there as well, interview. But he says, according to his cycles, the United States is basically finished. Look, I'm just reporting the news. But I can see why he's saying this, right? There's some indications that the way our country is headed right now, things aren't looking real good. He talks about the wars that are going now. He says they will probably turn into a world war. And the problem is the U.S. will have to fight Russia, China, North Korea, Iran. And he thinks that there's really no chance of a total victory. I'm just telling you what the guy says. Now, he talks about the markets. Crash on the markets. Nenner thinks there's going to be a stock market crash that will be equal to or greater than the Great Depression market crash in 1929. He says, quote, we are telling our clients to get out of stocks. We have zero stocks. Nenner also thinks that gold is the place to be for the next 3 years. And I want to reiterate, this is why this is so important, guys. I've followed him for years and years. Number one, he's very accurate. He's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But he's actually a physician. He started out as a medical doctor and then went to work for Goldman Sachs. The guy is very smart and has this proprietary cycle. He analyzes cycles and looks at all kinds of data. He is not constantly saying that he thinks gold is going to go up. It feels like to me almost like he's more often saying don't buy gold. But now this is a big deal when Charles Nenner says gold is going to go much higher, and he thinks it's the place to be for the next 3 years. When it comes to the market crash, right? They ask him, when will the market crash come? Nenner said it's still going to take a half year or a year until everybody realizes how bad the situation is compared to the BRICS countries. He says, quote, the dollar is not going to be the major currency. Nixon, right? Remember, 1971, stopped backing it by gold. And Saudi Arabia recently stopped backing it by oil. Right now, the dollar isn't backed by anything. So why would people trust the dollar? Woo-wee, right? Right? This, my friends, it's the old dollar, the paper dollar. It's not backed by anything right now. What he says is true. We went through a long period of time when the dollar was backed by gold and silver. It was a great time in America, right? A period of time where we had growth and prosperity and a lot of peace like never ever before. 1971, Nixon took us off the gold standard, right? And they took silver out of the change, right? We're going to talk about junk silver later with another big warning, but we'll get there in a little bit. Recently, the Saudi Arabians have stopped, the petrodollar situation. When Nixon took the dollar off gold and silver, they quickly transitioned it to the petrodollar, which meant that all oil in the world was bought and sold with the dollar, all oil. So the dollar essentially became backed by oil, and oil is the lifeblood of the world economy. It still is. Now, though, things are changing. China, Russia, all the BRICS countries, they're buying oil, they're selling oil outside of the US dollar. So at this point, like Nenner pointed out, the dollar is really backed by very little, very, very little. It's going to be an interesting ride here as we get out into the next coming number of years. Let's talk about the U.S. economy. We have neglected us basement dwellers, a critical component of the United States. Some people would say the consumer is the backbone of the U.S. economy, but what about the U.S. farmer? The U.S. farmer, right, that provides the food that you're likely, right, you and I are going to eat today, right? How are they doing? They are a huge, critical part of our economy. What do you think the farmers are telling us right now about the U.S. economy? And this is downright scary. Another article from Zero Hedge. Sentiment of American farmers implode. Oh, okay. A new reading from Purdue University in the Chicago Mercantile Exchange Group AG Economic Barometer Index shows sentiment across the heartland, more specifically on America's farms, has tumbled to the lowest levels since 2016 as incomes are pressured lower. This is on concerns of, quote, commodity prices, input cost, and future of trade after upcoming elections. And take a look at this chart, which shows us how they're feeling, how the American farmer is feeling about the U.S. economy, about the farming industry. And as you can see on the right-hand side, guys, we have not been this low in nearly 10 years. The U.S. farmer is struggling. And if you think for a second that that's not a strong indication as to what's going on in our economy, you are mistaken, right? Farmers make up a critical core part of our economy. And when they're not doing well, when they're not feeling good, that is a big sign that we are headed for some potential major trouble. All right. What else is going on out there in the world? Did you hear about Bank of America? They had a little problem yesterday. If you have an account with Bank of America, you possibly could have logged on or gone to your local ATM and noticed that all your money was gone. Let's take a quick read as to what happened there. I thought this was interesting. From CNN says, Bank of America says, widespread outage is nearly fixed. And I thought, I wonder if when I go to pay or if someone goes to pay their mortgage payment to Bank of America, they could say, I nearly paid you my mortgage payment, but I didn't quite do it. So the problem has nearly been fixed by Bank of America. Here we go. Bank of America customers reported having trouble accessing their bank accounts on Wednesday, but the bank said the apparent glitch has been largely fixed. Reports about a problem at Bank of America spiked about 1 o'clock Eastern on Down Detector, which collects data on outages. Many customers complained they could not see their account balances. Some who could access their accounts were startled to see zero balances. Okay, very interesting. Now, let's run over and see. I love this guy, Jim Willie, what he had to say about this. Outage or preview? This is from Twitter. Our wealth is on borrowed time with Bank of America. Bank of America, I think, is like the biggest consumer bank in the country. Okay. Jim Willie, I'm just going to tell you what he said. He said the outages today show just how fragile the banking system is. Accounts wiped clean. I mean, think about this, guys. The banks have one job: to protect your money. Okay. And the banks were wiped clean. I got to look you in the eye for this. The banks have one job: to protect your money. zero balances. Okay. On top of that, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, what else would give us concern? What are the reasons why we might be concerned? The other thing is that the banks, despite the fact that they're having these technology glitches, still, right, they have one job. You give the money, you give your money to the bank, and the bank stores your money safe and secure so you can get it anytime. All right. So now we've got balances getting, temporarily, it's nearly been fixed. Nearly. Okay. So that's a big problem. On top of that, the reality is the banks, the investments they made with your money into long-term U.S. treasuries that are now they've probably gone up a little bit since rates have come down, but they're still probably trading at 70 cents on the dollar, 65 cents on the dollar. Commercial real estate loans, right, that are going belly up. But we haven't really felt that yet. The banks have one job: to protect your money. Number one, the investments they made apparently were a little too risky. So the reality is the banks overall, right, don't really have the money to cover all the deposits. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think generally speaking, and I'm not trying to cause any fear but that's just a mathematical reality. Okay, between commercial real estate and the treasury market going down. Okay, on top of that, you've got the situation where not only can they not invest your money, but they can't even keep up with the technology, keep the technology running to let you access what you supposedly have. Okay, accounts wiped cleans, debts remain, ? He says this isn't a glitch. Possibly it's a preview of an upcoming financial reset. They're conditioning the public for negative interest rates, digital currencies, and total control over your wealth. Get ready. The next major event could wipe out savings while the elites hedge in hard assets. Your dollars are on borrowed time. The wealth extraction continues. Now, that's a pretty, in my opinion, and I respect Jim Willey. I love Jim Willey. That's a pretty drastic, severe statement. I don't know that I necessarily agree 100% with everything he said, but nobody agrees with 100% of anything anybody says. Like, you don't have to agree with me, right? So I always encourage you to please leave comments in the comment section. That's how we can learn. But what he's proposing is, are we getting set up? Are we getting prepped, right, for this move to CBDCs, to central bank digital currencies, when everything's electronic? I mean, we know everything's moving electronic now anyway, right? Major League Baseball games, NFL football games, you can't use cash. At Six Flags, at a lot of amusement parks, at a lot of big places now, you can't use cash. They're moving us towards this all electronic, 100% electronic money system, which could then easily be morphed into a CBDC environment. We know just last week, what did we hear? Frightening, right? And this is frightening. And I'll tell you the reason why, because we had news from Israel that prime minister, president, whatever he is, Netanyahu, wanted to get rid of the 200 shekel bill. That's one of the biggest bills in the Israeli currency. But on top of that, wants everything to go electronic. On top of that, wants to ban your ability, my ability, if we're Israelis, which I'm not, and you're likely not either, but to ban the Israelis' ability to hold physical silver and gold. Excuse me. That's scary, because I'll tell you what, guys, we are very closely related to the Israelis, especially when it comes to banking. Okay. So we'll see how that plays out. From what I understand, it's been met with a lot of opposition, but that's what they're trying to do. But it's not just Bank of America. What is going on? Right? We had major outages this week. Right? Some people are speculating. I'll emphasize that, speculating that these could be hacks. This could be cyber attacks going on. Okay, because then we had a major outage with Verizon, and somewhat, and it's hard to get to the data, but also to a certain degree, issues with AT&T. I was getting like if you have kids in school like I do, my kids are in middle school, my twins, I was getting like message after message. I think it was yesterday from the school saying we're aware of the AT&T outage, blah blah blah. So Verizon and AT&T also had some serious issues, and again, some people are speculating that this could have been a cyber attack. Let's go to this article. One of our favorite channels, one of our favorite news sources, the Irish Star. We love Ireland. It says Verizon and AT&T outage sparks widespread fears of cyber attack on the USA. People are concerned that the outage might be something more sinister. I don't know, right? I'll leave that to you. Verizon suffering nationwide outage, leaving customers. This was Tuesday, I believe, without phone service or internet. Verizon says users have made reports indicating problems and it sparked fears of this could be a cyber attack. Is it coincidence? Right? That we've got Bank of America. Imagine, my mom and my parents have an account with Bank of America. I don't, but would you be startled if you went to your ATM or if you logged into your app, right? Your electronic app, and all your electronic dollars showed gone, right? But if you could even do that, because if you have a Verizon phone, you can't even connect to the internet. Woo! Think about where this is going. Think about the potential and what a big deal this is. I hear somebody walking around upstairs. I don't know who it is. I wonder if there's somebody in the house, because I'm supposed to be here all by myself. You're going to find out, I think, in just a few minutes, okay? Hey, the port strike is a massive deal, okay? The longshoremen, they've shut down, 45% of the freight coming into the country. There's fears that medicine, okay? Why is this a big deal? Because certain medicines could get held up. Now, they could probably fly those in with aeroplanes or hot air balloons. Maybe the Chinese will send them over in some of their spy balloons. Here's your weight loss drugs, your high blood pressure medicine. Remember that? Was that like a year ago? Wasn't that weird? The Chinese are sending spy balloons across. Anyway, I digress. The port strike is a huge, massive deal. Now there's shortages of toilet paper, I'm hearing, at Costco. Toilet paper is made domestically in the United States. I think our TP supply will be just fine. But when 45% of the international freight, did you guys hear that? Somebody's banging at the door. Who is it? Oh, come on down. I think we have a special guest, guys. So when 40% of we have a special guest. Oh my gosh, he's back. The one and only, right? What a powerful figure within the, hi Jake.
Good morning.
Good morning, buddy. Grab a chair, pull up. A powerful figure, a well-known figure within the precious metals community. It's Jake from Jake's Custom Parts, a moderator on the channel. He's got a Vince Lanchi shirt on. Jake, welcome to the basement.
Thanks, Ron.
Hey, it's good to see you, buddy. How you been?
Doing great. Appreciate it.
Good.
In the neighborhood.
You're in the neighborhood. Yeah, I think our friend Jake here has been on a bit of a, make sure you look at the camera there, Jake, and smile for everybody. He's been on a kind of a around the Midwest tour. He's going to share some information with us about the 90% silver situation. I was just telling everybody that this port strike, which I don't think is getting enough attention, is a really big deal right now, and could send some serious shockwaves through the U.S. economy.
Yeah.
Yep. Scoot up, get by the microphone. Any thoughts on that? Any thoughts on what you see going on out there?
Yeah, I think people could have seen it coming, but if you have supplies, and you'll be all right. If you don't have some, get some. I told some of my friends, maybe you want to get your Christmas presents for your kids a little earlier. See how things work out.
Yeah. So I'm hearing from a lot of people that we could be facing a 90% silver shortage. And you've been out kind of visiting some coin shops over the last 3 days in a number of different states. Tell everybody what you're seeing out there when it comes to 90% constitutional junk silver.
Yeah. So the last couple of days I was in Evansville, Indiana, down south, and two of the LCSs I called were out of junk. One said they did, and then when I showed up, there was 2 or 3 dimes and a couple quarters. Most of them were slicks, so I passed on those. Did find one shop that had some, but from what I hear from friends and people trying to get a hold of it and looking, it's not too much availability right now. But I'm gonna be bouncing around Missouri and Illinois, so I'll see what those LCSs can provide.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to remember that they aren't making any more of this 90% silver.
Right.
And and I think it's also interesting to remember that the last time we had any type of run on silver in the country, the last time we had a little miniature financial crisis, the banking situation about 16 months ago, you couldn't find 90% silver.
Yeah, they had those issues in 1980 and 2011. We all know once silver started going up, they were melting tons of it. And so other channels have done interviews and videos on it, but they've melted down a lot. I think other channels have reported lately that people are going back to melting 90% silver again. So, yeah, if you need to get some, try and get you some. If you have some, keep it organized and stocked.
I think it could be a canary in a coal mine. The first sign that we could be heading toward potential. And I know Coin Shop Chris a few weeks ago when I talked with him, I said there's stress in the market, in that 90% silver market. I said I won't call it a shortage, and he said I'll call it a shortage. And he's a guy who's out there trying to and working on sourcing 90% every day. It feels like, from what I'm hearing, at the local coin shop level, that whatever 90% they do get in, they're kind of hoarding it because they know that they can pretty much sell it immediately.
Yeah. So as the spot price goes up and the premiums on junk silver, it'll start flowing back into the system a little bit. But those will be the people selling, and it'll be you'll be paying a lot more for it. So people that haven't purchased any in the last couple years or recently, the premiums are only going to climb.
Yeah. I can't believe this. We have Jake from Jake's Custom Parts here in the basement. He's a moderator on the channel. Thank you, Jake,
Sure.
for everything you do. Also, thanks to Annie Oakley, Big Tim, the Silver Shire, and of course, the lovely Silver Susie for being here being with us as well, helping out with the channel. I got to ask you, Jake, because I know I hear from you from time to time about this. We had news, was it yesterday, that Bank of America was having major issues. People were going online, their accounts were showing a zero balance. What do you make of that? Is that another canary in the coal mine as to what's to come, and kind of the fear of? I mean, to me, the one thing it shows is if you store all your money electronically, right, and you don't hold it in your hand, it can go bye-bye pretty easily.
Yeah, it seems to be lately, the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of those glitches that they call. A few months ago, we had the automotive industry had that hack with their paychecks and dealerships, and my son-in-law was involved with it. I posted it on X, and so people forget, because every few weeks or few months, some new shiny object and that. But when the banks start having those glitches, and people waited all day yesterday for Bank of America to come out with a public statement. You didn't hear nothing. Crickets. They can't make up their mind. Microsoft was done an update on the airlines. Supposed to be nothing, and then flights were down, and so a little computer glitch can shut down all this. I believe is just a setup for what's coming after the election or right before it. It's just going to get crazier. Andy's mentioned it before. As we get closer to the election and closer to the end of the year, things are going to start getting a lot crazier.
Yeah, I forgot about the auto dealership thing. That was a huge deal. It was like half the auto dealerships, and I had friends that work at car dealerships, one of them at a Toyota dealership here in St. Louis, and he was like, man, he's like, we got to do everything is written out by hand on paper. We forget about that. Here's what I find hilarious, though, Jake, is that Bank of America did come out with a statement. I just read on. They said that they've nearly nearly fixed the problem, quote unquote.
Today they came out
nearly,
with it.
yeah, but nearly. And so I'm thinking, I wonder how they would appreciate if somebody owed them a mortgage payment or a credit card payment. And they said to Bank of America, I nearly made the payment. I just didn't quite make it all the way.
Funny enough, I posted on Twitter the last weekend. I went to go visit my parents in a small town in Texas, and my mom and dad walk up to the bank, and there's posted letters, statements on the front doors, on the ATM. No more cashier's checks. You got to make appointments for cash withdrawals, and mom and dad were surprised. They're calling me. Yeah, that's what I tell people. In my opinion, is get the
microphone. There you go.
Get the if you got extra cash, keep it at your house, and I always tell my kids, go with the guarantee. And if you have your cash in hand, you can do with what you need to, if get you by for a few weeks or a few months or something. But if it's locked in the bank and you can't get a hold of it, one day we'll see bank collapses or more that are actually happening.
Yeah. I have an acquaintance who's in his 80s, and he's a Bank of America customer. And I've heard the same thing from this person over and over. It just feels like, and I'm not bashing, I'm not here to bash Bank of America. I think it's all the big banks, but they're like the services that they provide are just being shrunk. And like older people like to go into the bank and go see a teller. And it feels like it's completely moving away from that. The branches aren't as accessible, I guess is a good way to say it. And like my bank is right across the street from my house, and they got 6 branches. Yes, I keep some money in a bank because I have to pay bills and everything else, but I can go in there. There's tellers. I know the bank president. I think it's a world of difference from what people are now experiencing with the big mega banks, which is get everything electronic, very little human interaction. And we see what that can lead to on days like yesterday when these big banks have glitches that they've nearly fixed at this point. So it's going to be an interesting development. Let's talk about, you and I were chatting the other day about what's going on with Costco. Costco is now selling not just gold, not just silver, but also platinum. Any thoughts on that and what the implications could be, why that's such a big deal, and what it could mean for the precious metals community?
Yeah, lots of comments. Actually, I think it's a great thing. You can tell that Costco is only in it for the money. Let's just be frank. If they couldn't make, turn around and sell, and they wouldn't get into it if they weren't going to make money. But 2, it introduces to the world, the United States, that now Costco sells gold and silver, and it's waking people up, and it's showing, that there are alternatives, and whether or not, people. So it's, I know they're limited to 2 bars a day, and they're sold out quite often. But I mentioned to a friend of mine the other day, if you wanted to get some, go get you a bar or 2 and try it out, and if you like it. But if you're interested in bigger purchases and better quality stuff, give me a holler, and I'll hook you guys up, hook anybody up with connections and stuff. We can help out everybody.
Yeah. I think that's a critical thing to remember about this Costco situation. Selling gold, selling silver, selling platinum. People trust Costco. Right. That's I've never stepped foot in a Costco. A lot of my neighbors do. I live in a upper middle-ish class area. Right. They all go to Costco, right? They trust Costco. They're like religious about Costco. So the fact that Costco is selling gold, silver, and now platinum, it really does serve to legitimize precious metals in the eyes of a lot of people who really trust Costco. And I think I want to use this term. It's almost another big reason why it's so important. It's like a gateway. It's introducing millions and millions of new people to precious metals. It legitimizes it, but it's also a gateway. And like you said, right, somebody might buy a bar or 2 of gold or silver, but I think that eventually what they'll learn is that they really want to buy big amounts of gold or silver. They're going to want to go to a specialist. Right. And that gives me a great opportunity to say thank you to my channel sponsor. Can you scoot over for 1 second? Where is it? There we go. Pimbex, Pimbex. They are a specialist They don't sell pancake mix. They don't sell toilet paper. They sell gold, silver, and platinum group metals. And we're happy that Costco is selling it. But if you want to work with a specialist and you want to work with a company that's got great selection, great service, and in my experience, almost unbeatable, ultra competitive pricing, and you want to buy at volume or even small amounts, please support channel sponsor Pimbex, Pimbex. And what do you say, Jake, that we run out the Pimbex and do an update on the silver and gold price? Because earlier,
but can you hand me the cowbell, because we're over 200.
Hey, this is
Susie. Let me know.
Okay, Jake's gonna ring the cowbell for the basement dwellers as a sign of. Go ahead.
You want to hold your ears?
Yeah. That's for 200 thumbs up. Thank you, Jake. That was awesome. All right, let's go out. Let's go out to bring everybody on a little field trip. So earlier when we pulled this up, silver was down 33 cents and gold was down $13. That little triangle right there is the magic button. I'm going to press it. Now it could be up, could be down, but we are all right. Silver's only down 4 cents and gold down $7 per ounce. So we're moving in the right direction. You know, maybe we'll come back here and check it one more time and see if we can get it green by the end of the live stream.
Sure.
What do you say? Okay, so we covered that Costco situation. Again, I'm super excited about it because I think it does legitimize what we're doing, you know, and
yeah, and it also opens up the doors for women. Normally stackers are men, but lately, the last few years, a lot of smart women are buying, stacking, doing it with or without their husband's supports, explaining to them. And like I said, people trust it, and there's Costco's everywhere. And if people are stacking and getting it and doing it for the right reasons, it'll work out great. But keep in mind, Costco does not buy back any of the metals that you purchase. Yeah. So if you get in a bind and you need to go, you know, you better find you an LCS, or you better have some cool phone numbers on your cell phone.
Yeah. Nope. Absolutely. It's an interesting situation that's developing. Jake brought me this. I want to say thank you. Right, one of my favorites, a Morgan. I absolutely see if I can get it to focus. There it is. Wow. Thank you, Jake, for that. Okay.
No problem, bud.
And I've got a little silver for Jake before he leaves here as well. It's going to be interesting tomorrow what transpires with this employment number. You know, I think we could have a little bump in the road. But what are your thoughts in general about the silver price? You shared with me previously kind of an idea you had as to where silver could be going by the end of the year. You want to share that with the audience?
Yeah, I know people don't like to give predictions, but I will. I think silver's going to do 80 on that bear by the end of the year. I think we got bricks coming up. Every time you see them try and slam silver down and gold, it bounces back up pretty quick. Not too much price action lately on the Shanghai, but eventually it's coming. You know, it's just a matter of whether it happens or not. I'm excited to see the metals move up for the people that have purchased it maybe in the last couple of years. But there's a lot of the guys in the chat that I know that have been stacking for a year. So, you know, most people don't complain, but I'm happy to see it. I think gold's going to be 3,000 here pretty quick. If not right before bricks, it'd be hard to believe that gold won't do 3 before the 22nd. I mean, it just keeps, you know, $50-$80 jumps every few days. And like Andy said, it's going to happen. I'm excited.
Yeah, the future looks bright for gold and silver. And, you know, I think with the Fed cutting rates, the Fed, in my opinion, facing no other alternative as we move into the coming like months, quarters, and years to eventually print more money. I mean, you know, there's really no other way out. And some people are even saying that Fed rate cut, I found this very interesting. Like, what's the reason? What's the real reason why the Fed cut rates by 0.5%? Because supposedly we're not in a recession, right? And in the past, the only time the Fed cut rates was so are we in a recession, number one? But there's also another theory going around that the Fed actually cut rates by 0.5% because they're facing this reality that with all the debt that our country has, our interest expense is exploding. So they need to artificially keep the rates low just so the United States government can continue to pay this what now is, and it's, we'll run out to the US debt clock, but it's, almost $1 trillion a year that we're spending on interest expense alone.
There's a lot of missing, or a lot of moving parts to all this, but people forget that England and the other currencies around the world are based upon the US dollar. Kind of as we go up and down, they do. Japan's having issues on and off the last couple months. The Japanese yen carry trade. It's just, interest rates, inflation here in the United States. It's kind of hard to piece it all together, but that's why I watch Ron's Basement. We got our friends Chris and Yara at Arcadia Economics and Professor Vinny at VBL's Ghost Baby on X. It's just these guys punch out the information as quickly as possible, and you can read it, and that's how we're learning what's going on. Because I think 10 years ago, stackers didn't have a clue. It was up and down, and the videos were like, look at my new dime, and look, everybody's past all that. We've all seen all the coins and all that. Now we need information on the markets and what truths and what's going on. That's what I think.
Yep. And when it comes to silver, I think it's important to point out as well that we're seeing silver hit all-time highs in a number of foreign currencies.
Right.
But the reason why that's so important to recognize is because we saw the exact same thing occur with gold last year. Gold last year was hitting record all-time highs in the Canadian dollar, in China, all over the place, everywhere except the United States. And then eventually the United States caught up. Silver is kind of exhibiting the same behavior. And it's there's another reason why it's so exciting, really. Silver's exhibiting the same behavior now, where in a number of foreign currencies, silver's hitting an all-time high. But it's also doing that at a time when the gold to silver ratio is at all-time highs. And if we get kind of that double wave of silver catching up in dollar terms, plus a compression of the gold to silver ratio, we could see $80 silver, $50 silver, 60, whatever it is, but let's just say much higher silver than what we have right now.
Yeah, and you also hear on these channels and phone calls and stuff that the sovereign wealth funds are moving in. Big players, the guys I know they're getting bigger purchases, not as many smaller purchases, but now they're getting bigger and more often. And, when you're talking $500 $1 million all day, every day, it's great to see that people are starting to wake up and purchase some precious metals. What do we hear those guys saying 2 weeks ago that every portfolio should have at least 10%? Yeah. And when you try to explain to somebody that 10% of your portfolio, and they do the math, and it finds out whatever 10% is, oh my God, I'm not doing 10%. Yeah, okay.
You brought up a great point, and I think it's something that we need to, as gold and silver and even precious metal mining stock investors, what we need to remember. Okay, and the world central banks are still net buyers of gold. They've slowed down a little bit, but the trend is they are moving to gold. They're the smartest people in the room. They're the ones that have all the inside information. The other group that you brought up and there's a reason why this is so important, are the wealthy. The wealthy are moving to physical gold. Like Jim Willie said, I pulled that up earlier, right? The wealthy are moving to gold and silver. And that's a big deal because they're also, they're right up there with the world central banks, right? When the and you hear about these Ray Dalios and all these top billionaire people are talking about, and they're moving to gold. And then you've got the financial situation, the fiscal situation in our country, and the top people are warning about that. I mean, even Jerome Powell at the Federal Reserve has warned against the U.S. national debt. Janet Yellen has mentioned it, but you've got, again, guys like Ray Dalio,
Druckenmiller,
Stanley Druckenmiller. Thank you. Jeffrey Gundlach,
Paul Paulson,
all these people are saying, woo, we've got big problems. I almost said a bad word. Big, I'll leave a pause. Problems in this country. and then we'll come back. That's the reason why the world central banks are buying precious metals. That's the reason why the world's wealthy are buying precious metals, right? Yeah, and that's maybe even the reason why. And look, I don't go to Costco, but my sense from knowing my neighbors that do, like, they're smart people. That smart people are even starting to buy silver and gold. Like the gold, the precious metals fever is just starting to catch on. I'll tell you what I think the reason why it's really going to take off, and that is when this next wave of inflation hits us, because your average American went through that 2022 inflation, which officially was at 9%, but most people unofficially say 19, 12, 20, whatever. Huge, right? I mean, we remember, don't we, guys? Going to the grocery store and that bag of tortilla chips that cost $1.50 in 2000 suddenly cost $3. I mean, a lot of stuff doubled in price, right? And people were like freaked out. No, man. And it's kind of abated a little bit. We've kind of stabilized. This next wave of inflation that hits, I think it's that old fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Right. People are really like, can I make my sheep noise? Right, the sheeple out there.
Get them guys in the chat. That's
funny. That when they wake up, right, and it's not, we were talking about this earlier. Okay, yeah, so Jake and I lied. I knew he was at the house, but anyway, that's our only lie so far. We were talking about it earlier, guys. I get frustrated because I think most people don't really understand. Like, we are small, right? We are 1% of the people, right? And when this next wave of people, but the advantage, the silver lining to being small is, it's just going to take a little bit, a few people joining us, and all the silver is going to be gone. All the gold is going to be gone. Costco is going to say, sorry, we're sold out, right? The big online bullion dealers will say, well, it'll take 8 weeks for us to ship an order to you. Right. That we could be in for some really, really great times.
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment. If you all read Substack, if you can take a look at Professor Vinny's Gold Fix on Substack, he was the first. I mean, he breaks a lot of new news before anybody else. But last week on a email I got from him, a pension fund in Switzerland and a pension fund in Ireland were buying gold. And so when you start seeing the slow shift, and then you're hearing about it, and then you'll find out a few weeks later there'll be pensions in the United States. We'll watch Zero Hedge for articles. Yeah. But when you see these guys pumping out the info, and you're here, you get to see it first and hear about it with explanations and all. As long as we all stick together and everybody's sharing information, we're all going to be on the right track. And then when everything implodes like they did in 2008, nobody saw it coming. Yeah, nobody listened to Peter Schiff either. But we got a bunch of great guys out there, and that's all. You can't go wrong with these guys. So that's what I tell people. I tell my mom, it's like every time I go to a poker game, I'm holding 4 aces. Even James Bond can't beat me at poker with these guys we got on our team, with Andy and Chris and Vinny and Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan at Daily Gold. My God, he's awesome. Anyway.
So we've got central banks buying gold. We have wealthy people buying gold. You brought up something else. Pension funds buying gold. Sovereign funds buying gold. We've got the basement dweller community, the silver and gold community at large buying gold. And then we've got the Costco crowd who's just starting to show up. I mean, it feels very, very interesting. What's developing right now? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm happy that people are able to wake up and look, and I think that's one of the biggest scams we've had in the United States the last 100 years is what they've done to the dollar. They've taken the silver and the gold, or what used to be real money, backed by money, and all that. When you got to try to explain to 60 and 80-year-old guys. My dad has friends and stuff. Some people understand, some don't. When a quarter was 25 cents and they'd buy them a gallon of gas, and if you hold 4 quarters now, it's they don't remember. Either they don't remember, they don't know, they didn't hear about it. Nobody told them, what a silver quarter before 1964, earlier on the dimes and quarters and halves. It was money. It was in our pockets. But people are starting to understand now. It's just going to take a whole lot longer to get more people to wake up. But I think Costco is helping them.
Yeah.
And then once they investigate and do a little bit of a gold eagle, a silver eagle, a platinum bar, whatever it is, most smarter people will investigate just a little bit more to find out that, hey, I probably should.
So this 1958 quarter in 1958 probably bought a couple gallons of gasoline.
Sure.
Right. This same 1958 quarter, if you take it to your local coin shop and convert it into paper money, will still buy you a couple gallons of gasoline, right?
Especially in Texas, gas is only $2.50.
Yeah,
$2.50 a gallon. So I'm guaranteed to get 2 gallons of gas in Texas.
This 1996 quarter will buy you about a tenth of a gallon of gasoline, right? So the silver prevails. No doubt about it. It's just, I want to show a couple of pictures real quick. As we talked about, this is why the wealthy. I love this, and I got this from the Silver Academy. Okay, this bag can carry 600 gold ounces. A Gucci purse, okay, can carry 600 1-ounce gold coins. Weighs about 40 pounds. That equals 22,000 barrels of oil. That's why the wealthy are buying gold right now, right? Because they would rather have a Gucci purse full of 600 ounces of gold, right. Real easy to store, real easy to move, right? 40 pounds is heavy, but you can move it. 22,000 barrels of oil becomes a bit cumbersome.
Yeah.
Right.
And gold and silver is energy. Once you have that coin in your hand or the bar or whatever, it's a form of energy. You hold it, you have it, no third party risk. We all know the routine. It's good stuff. That's why people like to hold as much as possible.
Yeah. And let's see, what else do we have to look at here? There was one more I wanted to show. Oh, this one. All right. I think it's just critical. This came from me. Was a picture sent to me from one of the big major investment conferences lately, right. From a contact of mine who was invited to this conference. And I think this says it all. Gold, the return of the king. All right. Bull markets are born on pessimism. We went through a period of pessimism the last 2-3 years for the gold and silver market. Right now, and that's why it's highlighted in yellow, they grow on skepticism. And that's the truth, right? Like everybody's still a little skeptical. Things are just starting to percolate, but we got a long way to go because next is, we get through that skepticism, we'll mature on some optimism, and they die on euphoria. So we are really still in the beginning phases of what's going on. That was Build Back Better as beer. That's Bidenomics as a swing set.
Yeah, I sent that one to my mom. She liked it. She had a big laugh.
We got credit card debt. There was one more I wanted to show here. We're going to work our way there. Here, let's talk about silver quickly, and then we've got one more thing to show you guys as well. But this compares the HUI index, the gold miner index, to the Dow Jones Industrial Average, just to show how beaten down the entire gold sector has been. We're at 0.008 right now. Right. The lower this ratio goes, the more undervalued the big gold miners are, and the big gold miners are a big proxy for what goes on in the overall silver and gold, even the physical markets. If we go back to just, let's say 2011, it was at 0.055. That would be a 6 times increase from where we are now. So right. We still have a long way to run when it comes to this bull market in silver and gold.
Right. Yeah, I'd like to give another a shout out to Jordan Roy Byrne on the Daily Gold. If you subscribe to his premium, he does all miners, producers, and what he does, he shows a printout of his investments over the period of a few years, whatever, and it shows how much the stocks have grown. And so you can get with Jordan and email him and talk to him, and he's great with miners. One of my favorites. I mean, I can't think of anybody better on charts, but that's one of his specialties.
Yeah.
And for everybody that's had miner stocks and stuff, good luck. I hope everybody does great here shortly.
Yeah, Jordan Roy Byrne, and it's the Daily Gold, right? He was a guest here in the basement. Actually, I I reached out to him last week. He is going to come back here and be a guest again in Ron's basement. Yeah, he wanted to wait until the quarterly close because the end of the quarter numbers came in for the gold and silver and the miners obviously as well, because that allows him to kind of recalibrate, I guess, and recalculate.
Right.
He does some magical stuff. So I have no idea, but when it
does.
comes to technical analysis and what.
Yeah, he is one super smart cookie. I'm telling you that right there. Sharp as a whip.
Yep. Let's show this one real quick. We talked about the debt earlier. I think this also says it all. Gold and debt. This is a chart showing the U.S. public debt, right, since 1971, right? That's the black line, and gold. There's the gold price. So as we look, and what's important for us to see on this chart is the fact that what it clearly demonstrates is that as the U.S. debt has gone up and up and up, coincidentally, so has the price of gold and silver, for that matter. And there is no doubt. All right, we got to do it, Jake. There's no doubt that the U.S. debt is only going to go higher. Guys, let's just go check to make sure that nothing's changed. You never know. Washington overnight, they may have come to their senses and paid off the U.S. debt. But let's just go check it out here.
Let me give a shout out to Annie, our super mod. Thanks for all your help.
Yes, Annie Oakley, the one and only Annie Oakley.
Yeah, Annie Oakley for the win.
Wow. Did this just jump a lot? 35 trillion, 600? Wasn't it just 36 trillion, 400 yesterday? I thought it was moving quicker. That's our debt, okay? Remember, as this goes up, according to that chart that we just looked at, I'm going to go back and pull it up one more time. Right? As the debt goes up, the black line, the gold line goes up, and that's the gold price, and that's the silver price, and it is just absolutely exploding since we're here. So as this goes to 40 trillion, 50 trillion, and this has been, right, like what happens if we have another big financial crisis? What happens if the wars, God forbid, wars escalate? Even under the best of circumstances, this number is only going to continue to skyrocket because this number makes this number get bigger, right? The interest expense makes the budget deficit get bigger, which goes to there, and then it just turns into a big doom loop. But let's go look, since we're here, at this dollar. Okay, we're approaching the dollar to silver ratio now at 691. It goes up every day. Yes, folks, for each 1 ounce of silver that's produced on an annual basis throughout the world, for each 1 ounce that's produced, the U.S. government is increasing the M2 money supply, the dollar supply, by $691. We promised a big party when we hit 700, a big funeral, maybe better. So, Jake, you're not selling anything to us, but you did have a fundraiser. I think you're going to be heading up to, is it Peoria tonight? Yeah. Okay, let me pull that up on the screen. If anybody wants to donate or be part of this, tell us quickly about what this is going on.
If any of the basement dwellers or anybody's around Peoria, Illinois, we're going to be there Friday night. Clint Westwood's doing a shout out and a fundraiser for the local high school team, high school players and athletes. They're doing fundraisers for college, and it's going to be a meetup of stackers and crypto people. So we get to go visit. It's all like-minded people. I'm actually going to meet Thorand here in a few hours. We're going to head up there, and there's other people that we're going to meet and other YouTubers that you know or may not know, but we're going to hang out and looks like we're going to be eating ribeyes and donating a fundraiser for kids'
for the
college funds. Yeah, for
awesome.
High school kids. So if you can come by, it's open. It's on Clint's website, clintwestwood.com, or you can check him out on X. If you guys want to show up, you see me there, introduce yourself, say hi, I'll buy you a steak, guaranteed.
Sounds good. And I want to point out something. Jake's not here selling anything, right?
Yeah.
I didn't hear you. No commissions, no anything. Yeah. Everything he shared with you today is from his heart. And Jake is a well-known figure within the silver and gold community. Andy Scheckman loves him. Chris Marcus loves him. I love him. A lot of people and a lot more people do. And you're always out there and always super supportive. to the content creator community. And I think to a lot of other people. I know you're a great dad, and it's a big deal to me. You do a lot for Ron's Basement. He's a super moderator. So is Annie Oakley. So is Big Tim. So is Susie, my lovely wife, who's at her mother's house this morning. So it's just me and Jake. It's like boys day here in the basement. But thank you for all you do, because it is a big deal. I do want to say thank you to our other channel sponsors. Oh boy, I'm in the way. Hold on here. How do I do this? This way? Nope, this way. Here we go. All right, that'll work. First Mining Gold, Canadian gold developer with 2 multi-million ounce projects in Canada, and Fortuna Mining. Okay, they're an operating silver and gold mining company with operations in Latin America and West Africa. What did I forget, Jake? Anything I forgot to do here? I want to say thank you to our community. We've had 750 people joining us. That's a big deal.
That's great.
You're very popular, and need to have you back here more often. But really, do I do a good job conveying that to our audience, that like, it's not me, right? Like, I do this, but really I always feel like they are all down here with us, that like we're a group and we're a club. And that really everybody's welcome. Unless somebody's a real jerk, which rarely happens, that we got a good group of people, and that I hope that people feel like they belong, and that they participate in the chat, because we don't have to agree with each other on everything, right? And do I do a good job telling people that?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
But it's almost time for pizza.
Okay.
So let's go get some lunch.
All right. See you guys. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it, everyone. Thank you.
We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.